You should capture your travel adventures through video so you can always look back and remember them. If you're looking for ways to improve your travel vlogs or films, how you put them together and color grade them, then this video is for you. I recently went to Washington, D.C. to experience the cherry blossoms at the tidal basin during peak bloom. Throughout the trip, I captured what I got to experience that weekend and created a travel vlog to share on my YouTube channel. Today, I'll go through how I picked my shots from what I captured, the grading process, and how I color matched the footage throughout the travel video. You can check out the final film on my YouTube channel. With your trip finished and all the footage captured, it's time to start putting the video together. First things first, have your project and folders organized. I use DaVinci Resolve, but no matter the editing software, you can follow a similar structure to how I keep things in order. I have one bin for all the footage captured and bins within to separate them by day. There is another bin for sound design, which includes music and sound effects, and one more bin for the different timelines I will work with. You can add more bins depending on what you're using and working with. With every project, I usually work with 4 to even 10 timelines. As you can see with this one, I ended up with 10, some served as backups, 1080p and 4K versions, and even a Reels version for TikTok and Instagram when I need to upload in a vertical video. Once the organization is set, I start working on the all footage timeline, dumping everything I captured here to scrub through and pick the final shots I want to use. I try to capture as much as possible during the trip, so when I get to editing, I have more than enough footage to put something together that I am happy with. You don't want to end up not shooting enough and then have trouble putting your work together. Since I enjoy the color grading process the most in post-production, I like to start with that instead of editing to get a sense of how the colors will look. I went through the footage to find a clip that I can grade that would be a good starting point for achieving the colors I want throughout the final film. With this clip selected, it's time to start grading. Here, I will break down node by node what I did to get the final look in my shot, but if you're looking for a more in-depth tutorial on my color grading process, you can watch this video here on the Adorama channel. Here is the final grade I went with on this clip. Breaking it down, I always start in the second node by adding the tungsten phantom LUT to give me a good starting point for color correcting. You can see how it transforms the footage from straight out of camera. I go back to the first node for my primary adjustments. First, I drop the offset to balance the overall image. Then, I like to open up my image using the gamma first, then dropping the lift, and finally increasing the gain to finish it. With these wheels set, I lower the highlights to get some of that detail back in the brighter parts of the image. Next, I add contrast and open up the pivot to the left. I mess around with the temp and tint of the colors and raise the shadows by 6. I finish the first node by lowering the mid detail to -5 to lower the sharpness. I move to the third node and create a film curve using default anchors as a starting point. In the fourth node, I make some color adjustments, only messing with the hue versus saturation. I just had to lower the teals and blues a bit to give it a cleaner look I wanted in the shadows, so that the color wasn't overpowering. In node 5, this is where I did the color grading. I always start by lowering the reds to add teals to the shadows, then warm up the image in the gamma. I go to my log wheels in the same node to balance the image. I lower the greens in the shadows so the black parts in the image look black, and I warm up the midtones a bit more. In the following node, I go back to the curves and enable editable spleens to make the image pop even more in the brighter and shadow parts of the image. After these 6 nodes are done, I use Dehancer to add film qualities to my shot. I always skip the input tab since I have these nodes done already, and go to the film profile to enable my favorite look, Kodak 500T, and pull the profile to the right. I move down to the print tab to add some contrast back into the shot, increase the color density, and slightly raise the exposure. I go back to the expand tab to raise the black point and lower the white point to make the image pop more. All these settings were used to adjust the look of the image with film qualities before adding some bonus touches. Then I go and change my grain settings, and as for now, I've been enjoying the look of 65mm ISO 500 grain, and I increased the value to around 36. For this project, I did end up using halation as I felt it belonged with a travel video about cherry blossoms. I don't use it too often, but when I do, I usually lower the amplify so it's not overpowering. Finally, in the last node, I added glow for the finishing touches. I lower the global blend and change the composite type to soft light. I drop the shine threshold as well as the spread. To finish it, I increase the gamma a bit and decrease the gain, and there's the grade for this shot. Now that the first shot is graded, I will save this power grade as a still, so when I find other clips I like that I might use, I can start with that same grade and adjust it from there. Let's take this next clip as an example. I open the Gallery tab, go to Stills, and right click to hit Apply Grade to paste the same look onto this clip. Now, certain nodes that should stay consistent between clips won't change. For example, the film curve node and some settings in Dehancer, like the film grain and halation, will be the same with every clip I grade using this method. I won't have to manually recolor every shot through every node I used. I only need to readjust certain ones, mainly the primary adjustments in the first node, and sometimes the color adjustments or grade node. After applying the power grade, I would disable all the nodes except for the second one with the phantom LUT, and enable them one by one to see what I would need to adjust. In the first node, I raised the offset a bit and lowered the lift further. I dropped the highlights more, lowered the contrast as well as the pivot, and cooled the temp. I kept the rest of the nodes the same and moved to Dehancer in the 7th node to readjust the black and white points. I also boosted the contrast and increased the exposure further. I kept the film grain and halation the same and readjusted the glow node. I kept almost everything the same for glow, only adjusting the spread and gain. As you can see, finishing this clip was way faster than the first one since I had a better starting point. So with this method, I look through all the clips, start with the still of a grade that is closest in lighting and exposure, and make adjustments from there. Shots that are more different from each other because of the time of day or how I shot them might take more fixes to get the look I want to achieve, but at least I can keep the film curve the same and similar Dehancer settings, especially for the grain and halation, without needing to manually put them in every single time. As I go through the clips, I also move each shot I want to use up a track, so once I make all my final selections, I can zoom out, highlight all those clips, and open the short film timeline to paste those together. You would notice this timeline is a different aspect ratio as I wanted the final film to be in a 2:1 ratio. Next, I find the song I would use for the travel vlog coming from MusicBed. For a quick rundown on how I put the final video together, I dragged in the song and cut it to the length I wanted to reach. Since I only used one song, this would tell me how long the video would end up being. I brought the song down a couple of tracks because I knew I would be adding sound design to enhance the video. Before reaching that point though, I started bringing in clips I definitely wanted to use and see how it would flow with the music. As I added clips in, I also experimented with some text designs I wanted within the video. Once I finished the layout of the video, I realized I had so many leftover clips, I wanted to create a bonus after credits outtake section that showed a more fun side to the trip that wasn't just filled with cinematic shots. I think this helped the video as a whole feel more relatable, showing the beauty of Washington DC during the season and just our experience being there. Once everything was done, I added sound design as the last step in my process. I hope this gave you some insight into my thinking when putting a short cinematic travel vlog together, and how I grade all the clips to keep a consistent look throughout the project. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment below any tips you may have for putting something like this together, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.